welcome to the CIO Zone.
Well, thank you, Roger. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Maybe you kick off our conversation by telling our viewers a little bit about your role at Microsoft.
My role is Director of Virtualization Strategy, and the job there is really to work with all of Microsoft's virtualization and cloud assets to really come up with solutions that customers and partners can use. So from the hypervisor that's part of Windows Server, we call it Hyper-V, all the way to the management with System Center, all the way to App-V, which is part of our desktop virtualization strategy. It's about what we're seeing, of course, in IT is sort of this convergence of using different levels of virtualization together, and so it's very important for our customers and our partners to be able to sort of see how they all work together.
And so that makes sense.
Yeah, that's my job. And as a background, I was actually the founder of a company called Softricity.
Yes, I've heard
which is now App-V.
Right.
So it was acquired by Microsoft about 4 years ago.
In a sense, you're really talking to people outside the company, probably more even than inside the company, to find out what real people are experiencing in the real world and how you can help them achieve their business goals better. I'm
hearing some interesting things, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Would you like to share some of those?
Maybe good sort of frame up here. Like I said, I've been in the virtualization space too long, I would say when I first started at Microsoft was when server virtualization was really, starting to get its strides in 2006. And the thing I used to hear back then when we would talk about our strategy is, I'll take 20 to 30% of my apps, which are the non-mission critical apps, and I'll put them on virtualization. And, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd never put a database on virtualization, but, we'll see how that goes, right? You talk to customers today, and they're saying it's virtualization by default. People have to tell me why I shouldn't virtualize, right? So in the span of basically 4 years, we've seen this incredible acceleration and acceptance of virtualization on the server, certainly, and now beginning on the desktop as well. Very much.
It's really great because I think in a lot of cases we know that a technology is capable of doing more than you might say the typical IT department is willing to do because they're conservative. They know that things are mission critical and whatnot. So bad economic times do have a way of sort of accelerating that roadmap.
Today I'm talking a lot to customers about our public cloud offering, which we call Azure. And, is very different than virtualization, and we can explain that, right?
Sure.
I mean, Azure is not virtualize your apps and put them, and run them in a cloud-like way. Azure is a real cloud. It's, built from the ground up. It's running in many data centers around the world that we run, right? And so when I talk to customers about Azure and I explain the benefits, this is what I hear. I think we'll take 20 to 30% of our non-mission critical apps and we'll put them there.
So it's deja vu all over again.
It is deja vu all over again, and I can see why. Because, if you look at the benefits of virtualization, there were things like server consolidation, led the charge, tremendous, right?
That's a no-brainer.
No-brainer, right? I always like to say you had me at consolidation.
Right.
Other things would be, rapid provisioning of apps, right? Much faster, because you just fire them up and they're running. Accelerated updates of the operating system, being able to take them offline, automate the updates, and put them back online. Business continuity got easier. Still not simple, but easier because, obviously it was just, the fact is the OS and the apps became files, and you could replicate them and things along those lines. Still have to build storage, still have to build network and things like that. But so tremendous benefits that accrued to great cost savings. When I talk about Azure, what's interesting is you don't talk about server consolidation. You're talking about server elimination.
Correct.
Right? You don't talk about...
Well, we're at least moving it to another place. It's still there somewhere.
But you don't have to worry about that anymore, right? I mean, we're talking... This is not like a hoster with virtual... I mean, Azure is... It's just there, right?
Right.
Updating? You don't have to worry about OS updates anymore. That's all taken care of as a service, right? Business continuity. As easy as it was with virtualization, with Azure, it's just built in, right? I mean, I put my app into Azure, it gets replicated around the different data centers. I know it's accessible from anywhere. So I think it's that people are beginning to see the, sort of quantum leap of benefits that that isn't just from traditional to virtualized, but now from virtualized to public cloud. And I think that's interesting. I'm hearing that.
So as the standards begin to emerge in this field, that should really make that a very attractive model, I would think.
I think that is really in many ways the vision of Azure and the vision of our online services like SharePoint, Exchange, SQL, all these services, finished services and also supporting services. It should act like electricity. You talk about standards, I think there's a number of dimensions to that. One of them is the application platform component of that. Right? What can I use? What platforms can I develop on to run on this cloud? And we're absolutely dedicated to, of course, taking .NET, because that's our offering. Right. But we're very dedicated to making sure that if you write in Java, in Ruby on Rails, Eclipse, PHP, it will also run. So we want to make it clear that this is a different world we're dealing with, and we're going to create a platform that lets people run in all these different environments.
So there's a need for a certain degree of transparency. A CIO might need to be able to say why he feels comfortable with the security that he's going to be experiencing when he sources, if you will, his services, across a cloud like that. Sure. What do you do to help them understand what's being done, so they can report back, I'm satisfied for these reasons, and also the perceptions in general?
There's a lot of work that has to happen across the board. Even, and we talk about having data centers all over the world. There are rules about where you can store data in certain places. So we're working hard on that. We understand that they're absolutely right. It's probably the top reason why customers, have to think about moving to the cloud, right? I mean, because all the other benefits are very powerful.
That's right.
That's where management actually for us plays a big role. So, Microsoft has System Center. It's been it's an established brand that we've had for many years, and obviously very popular in the on-premise world. And what our and part of System Center, of course, is not just deployment of applications or updates of applications and operating systems, but there's also a monitoring component, and there's increasingly so a governance component. We've made announcements around products that really are tied towards governance and giving you more, compliance control and things along those lines. Our strategy with management, is for it to be the bridge, one of the bridges of commonality that exists between your on-premise data centers that you'll probably virtualize a lot, right? Third-party service providers that will also perhaps provide a virtualized environment, and Azure with the public cloud. And even just recently, we've shown Operations Manager, which is one of our the products within System Center, where literally from one screen you can monitor and manage applications sitting in a on-prem environment, a third-party hosted virtualized environment, in Azure. And you can double-click all the way down to the app and see how they're doing and affect them. So, what we really want to do over time is infuse that governance and the other, what we call the product around that is called Service Manager. Right.
Makes sense.
Right. And that will be, in many ways, we are going to allow you to have what's a truly hybrid cloud, because I mean not just virtualized, which is all VMware does, but also this public cloud.